It's maintenance time again for my John Deere 145 lawn tractor. Today we're going to be removing the deck, the mower deck. We're going to be checking the blades and replacing the blades. We're going to be servicing it with grease, and then we're also going to reroute the belt, or show how the routing goes on the belt. So if you have any questions, you can go to the next video. The first thing I do is lower the deck all the way to the ground, to its lowest setting. That way you don't have to worry about it falling once you remove the pins. This mower deck has 5 pins to remove, one on each side, or 2 on each side, and then 1 in the front. This is the one on the right side front, or right side back, that has to be removed. You just remove it by pulling it out. There's also a washer, so don't lose the washer. Remove the washer and set the pin and washer aside. Do the same thing on the front side. I don't know if you can see it or not, but here's the other pin. And then on the very front of the mower, there's a pin on the other side of this rod that you will be removing. So I'll go ahead and remove all 5 pins, and then I'll show you how to go from there. This is how I remove the pins. I take a long screwdriver and stick it in. Stick it in at an angle, like so, and then I just pull down. And the pin falls out. Okay, I'm on the other side, on the left side of the tractor now. I've removed all the pins and the washers and set them aside. And what I'm doing now is I'm going to remove the front side of the belt from the engine pulley. And the easiest way to do that, I found, is to take a 15mm socket, and there's a pulley right here. That's a double pulley. It sticks up from the rest of them, and you just put the socket on that, on the top of that, and this is the adjuster pulley. So when you pull back on it, it releases the belt, and you can pull it loose from the... Okay, now the belt is loose from the engine pulley, and everything is loose. So all you have to do is basically pull the arms from where the pins were. You can just pull them off. That one and the back one. The easiest way to do that is to lift up on it, on the back. Lift up on the back of the deck and pull out on the arm with the other hand, and it comes off. And you go to the other side and do the same thing. Once you have all the arms loose, then you can just grab the deck itself and pull it out. Once the deck is pulled out, you can see the routing of the belt. I will come from the back, and you can see how that portion goes on the front pulley to the engine. It's routed around the adjuster pulley, and then you can see the routing of it from there. I can remove the covers for the end pulleys. I'll do that next. I just use an impact driver with a 5/16 bit. To remove each of the screws on the cover and remove it. There's 4 screws on this one, and there's 3 screws on the other side. I'll go ahead and remove those. Okay, with the covers removed, now you can see the full routing of the belt, the drive belt. Now to service this, there's going to be several zerts grease zerks on the pulleys. You just have to find them. For example, here's one right here. It's hard to see, but you clean the dirt off from around it and you see it sticking out there. You do that for each of the pulleys that you can find a zert for. Mainly the end pulleys, I think, and the front pulley. But once you get that cleaned off so there's no dirt around it, then you just hand grease it with a grease gun. So I've finished greasing each of the grease zerks. There's one on each end pulley and one on the front, so there's 3 grease zerks on the deck. Once you put some grease in there, then we're ready to move forward to replacing the blades. Okay, what I've done is I've turned the deck completely over to replace the blades. The blades, as you can see, are in real bad shape. Lots of notching, really dull. So we're going to replace all 3 of these blades. These blades are being replaced today by a new blade. It's called a gator blade. Since I have sandy lawn, the sand eats up these blades every year, so I have to replace them. So this new blade is a gator blade, and it's supposed to alleviate some of the sand eating away at the blades. So the easiest way to get these off is, some of them are on pretty tight, so I take a stick, piece of wood, so that it jams it up, and then this is going to require an 18 millimeter. You put it on there, and some of them are on pretty tight. I've already loosened this one, so just lefty-loosey as all of them are on this particular deck. Some of them are right-handed threads, so you need to make sure you're going the right way. So you just remove all the blades. Once you get all the blades removed, then we're going to, as you can see, this deck has a lot of build-up on the bottom of the deck. I'm going to get all that cleaned up before I continue on with the video. I think I called these the wrong thing. These are a John Deere replacement blade, but it's called a copperhead and not a gator. I apologize. There's the number. Get it at most of your hardware stores. Before you remove the old blades, take note of the direction of the cutting portion of the blade. This is the cutting portion. So make sure that you orientate your blade the same way when you put it on before you tighten them down. Okay, now I have most of the junk scraped out from underneath the deck. You can get it as clean as you'd like, but I found out that last year I scraped it all down, sanded it, painted it, and absolutely made no difference in the gunk buildup, even no matter how clean you think you're getting it when you wash it out from underneath each time. Now to replace the blades, you just make sure your blade is oriented correctly. I checked mine before I took it off. You just match it up, put the bolts back on, tighten them down to the torque level that the book calls for if you have a torque wrench. If not, just hand tighten them as tight as you can get them. And then you're ready to turn the deck back over and put it back in. Okay, now I have all the blades on. Just make sure that before you tighten it down that the blades are seated down on flat, and tighten them down, and you're ready to turn it back over and replace it. But this is a good time, however, to go ahead and do the rest of the maintenance on your John Deere. Oil change. Since you have the deck out, the oil filter is here, and it's good. It's easier to get to. There's not as much runoff onto your deck. You can put something under it, so it's a good time to do that. And do all the other, while you have your grease gun out, grease your front end and all the other grease zerks that you can find. You can find all of them, the location of all of them, in your owner's manual. Okay, I've finished changing the oil and the filter. Here's the plug. It turns to the right and pulls out to release the oil. So you have to make sure you have something under it. I always put a rag under the frame just to make sure that it doesn't get all over the place. Pull the dipstick out so that it drains well, has an airflow, and then while that's draining you can go over and remove the oil filter and replace it. Replace the plug after it drains out. Put in 2 quarts of 10W40 SAA 10W40 oil and check the oil level, and you should be good. I always, for my maintenance items, oil filter, oil blades, etc., I write it on the inside. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I write it on the inside of my cowling, engine cowling. That way I don't have to look it up every time. So now we're ready to replace the deck, and you just do the reverse of how you removed it. So you slide it up under. You always want to make sure that the hangers are placed down in so that they don't hang on anything when you scoot it in, and that these front hangers are laying forward. So you just slide it into place, and then I'll show you a couple of tricks when we get it under there. Okay, now that I have it under the mower, you just kind of line it up so that the front hangers line up with the bolt that's above it. And before you put anything in place, you can go ahead and put the front belt on the engine pulley. Well, let me reverse there. Leave the belt off. It's easier to get the hangers on. So once you get the hangers all on, then you can use your 15mm socket and just go ahead and put the front belt on at that time once you get the hangers on. Forgot to mention to put the covers over the pulleys on the deck before you slide it in. It makes it a lot easier to go on. Once you get the deck under it, you put the pin, put the rod in to the front, and go ahead and put the pin in, and then hang your front hangers. Right here. Go ahead and hang them and put the pins, put the washer and the pin on each of the fronts. And then to hang the back, you basically, again, just lift it up with your right hand, pull up the hanger pin or the hanger strap and put it on the pin. This one here. You pull it up, put it over the pin, and then stick the cotter pin in and the washer. And you're done. This is Steve Smith with the complete package on servicing your mower deck for the 145 John Deere.